way too aggressive in the game, and then I'll overcommit and it'll cost us a team fight, or I'll be too passive and somebody is too aggressive and then we lose a team fight. Or sometimes, just like everybody else, I'll go on this I'll go on a pretty good streak and then I'll go on a pretty good losing streak
Oh
and
yeah.
then it'll like tilt me, and I understand it'll tilt me, but it's not like I'm like, like I'm not in there like cursing anybody out or calling anybody out on names. I just like end up getting into this mental state where I'm just like, dude, like what am I doing wrong? Why can't I just like, continue a streak? And I understand because I've like read some of the stuff on the game where sometimes it's a 50-50 and sometimes it's expected for you to win, sometimes it's expected for you to lose, and it'll give you the SR based off of that, whatever the system is in play. So the positioning part of the gameplay would be sometimes I feel like I'm just not standing there holding a shield or holding matrix, or maybe more like target priority. But that target priority becomes a little more difficult when there is somebody peeling for the back line, or the back line is peeling for the tank forward and helping them out. It's kind of a very
Hmm.
hard situation for me to kind of get the gist of things and how to play the game. And I've been playing the game for a while, and it's just I think my peak at the game was this was Overwatch One. I think was 3400 or 3300, something like that. I don't even think I can check anymore. But yeah, and after that, I just kind of been stuck on this like plat section, sometimes diamond, and but the positioning part of the game would be more of a what angles to take and not to take. And I understand it's situational depending on where you are or what is transcribing through the game at the time. So like,
Oh
whatever
yeah.
may apply for the game previous will not apply for the game in the now. So that also too, like making those adjustments and understanding how to make those adjustments, more so than not.
I understand. I understand. Yeah, like you mentioned, it's definitely right that every game is situational with how you position, but there are some universal ideas, some universal concepts we can go over based on the character, based on the role you also currently play. I assume you mainly looking to improve on the tank role at the moment, or
Yeah,
mhm.
so yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
Um the tank role, yes, because it's one of my more favorite game compositions, I would say, or not composition, but role in the game.
Oh yeah.
I do like the damage, I do like the healing, but I feel like when you're playing tank, you are just way more involved in the game than kind of just hanging out in the back and waiting for things to happen. I like to make things happen, but I end up making things happen more so in a negative way where it doesn't benefit the team as much as I would like for it to benefit the team, you know?
Yeah, that makes total sense. I think we can take a look at the replay, see what we can get out of it. And my question, I think, it's what kind of characters you enjoy playing the most at the moment? Can you name top three characters?
Any role or just tank in general?
Well, let's just start. Do you enjoy playing tank for the most part at the moment?
Right now, no. Right now, no. Like, I'll tell you this. Like, for this last couple of seasons, I just been playing like the damage role or the healing role,
Yes.
just because tank feels like so weak. It doesn't feel like I am strong. It doesn't feel like I am imposing a will on the other team. It feels more like I'm just kind of there. Like I'm just kind of just hanging out, waiting for I don't know what exactly, you know. And so I'm not really enjoying tank. And when I do enjoy
Hmm.
tank, it's only when I'm like steamrolling. It's not even like, oh, cool, like I made a good play here. Like this was a very good play. I like it because it got us ahead, or it was a little more like um it saved the game or whatever. You know, not necessarily hero moments, but more necessary a little more like subtle play where you get some enjoyment out of it.
I see.
So
I
to
see.
so to answer your question, I think right now like the most fun I'm having with any character, it would be Ash, Cassidy,
Hmm.
and Roadhog. Um, would be like my top three. I love playing Zarya. Um, but this is now changed from two tank composition to a single tank composition. So
Oh
it's a
yeah.
little more different to play these tanks for me with the compositions that's happening, especially, you have like this hit scan buff where Ash, Widow, even Hanzo are just kind of like stacking damage on the tank, so it feels like very um defeating, if that makes sense. It feels like it's just defeating. Like you can't like do anything other than be like a punching bag.
I see. That makes sense to me. I think if you feel this way, it's quite important, especially if you want to reach the your long-term goals, the grandmaster, master role, hitting those ranks. I think you definitely want to consider prioritizing play what's fun for you, because this way you get the highest motivation to actually improve and learn the characters, and you will be able to climb the ranks eventually. Because with if you ask the best players in any sport, they always tell you why do you play this game. If you ask them, then they tell you, well, first of all, it's fun. And this is the most important thing. I highly suggest, if you're not enjoying playing certain role, maybe if it's the tank role for you now, then probably would be better long-term choice to just switch towards the role where which you like more. I think, and in this case, if it's Ash Cassidy, then you can go with that. That's okay. It's not like you gonna, let's say you did play a lot of tank before. It's not like you're gonna just suddenly switch and not apply any knowledge. No, a lot of the fundamentals, those are still gonna be transferable towards other roles even. So it's fine. It's not like you give up on something and then you cannot transition the skills to other roles. So it's also good. Yeah, I would consider try to play one role, ideally focus on one, because you want to build certain habits. If you play multiple roles, then it's going to be hard because you will build conflicting habits. So for instance, as a tank, we a lot of times have to initiate, absorb pressure, try to just be in the front line more. Well, not angles wise, but just enabling your teammates, yeah, making sure the pressure first goes on us. Where on DPS and support, a lot of times you have to follow up, you have to be following up the tank's pressure. And if you try to play both, a lot of those habits, because you're building conflicting habits, if you play multiple roles, you can might make the
Mm,
climb even harder. So I would consider, again, if your long-term goals are hitting masters and GM, lean towards one role. Think what's enjoyable. Yes, those gonna be the tasks. I think. Yes, think what is fun, and also try to just have 2 3 characters you want to play ideally. I would say if we're starting at,
mm,
it seems like you're plat 1 rank at the moment. Yeah, I would consider that because, well, first, realistically, you don't need a lot of characters. Second, if you do play a lot of characters, then you have to learn a lot of micros, and it's gonna take a lot of time. And if you just try to compare player A, who has 2 3 characters in the pool, and player B, who is playing 5 or maybe 10 characters, yes, some people play like a lot of characters, then player A is gonna climb much faster. Again, you have to prioritize what you enjoy more. Maybe you enjoy playing being player B more, it's fine. Then you can do that, but just consider that, make understand that you're making those sacrifices. You're not gonna climb as fast. So this is what I'm trying to
mm.
say. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that makes way more sense. Which is very true because once this these last couple of seasons when I started making the transition more to playing damage,
Oh, yeah,
I would find myself like just kind of like standing in the front of everybody because I was so used to playing the tank role, and then
exactly.
that took a little bit that took a little bit of time to be like, okay, dude, like back off a little bit.
Yeah,
You're not a tank, you know. And then like I would be like, you know, till like, cause you know sometimes you're like so invested in the game and you're not like really looking at what's going on. And then like I remember, well, I do remember because one of the teammates was like, "Hey man, like you need to slow down a little bit. You have like the most deaths." And I looked and I think like everybody was like sitting at 3 deaths, 4 deaths or whatever, and I was sitting at 10 or 12. 12. It was 12, and I was like, "Oh, okay, like let me slow down a little bit." And then I kind of just like hung out like in the back a little bit. I really didn't try to push the issue on anything.
oh,
And
yeah,
and that's how the games have been going. It's almost like I'm just reacting instead of like being like somebody being like a protagonist or something, making sure creating a reaction. I end up just waiting for the reaction to happen and then I act accordingly too. So
let's put it this way to just make a quick note on what you said. I think it's important on any character to be proactive, but the ways you do that, it's different. That's the main point. On tank, you do it one way. On DPS, you do it another way. But yeah, I totally get that part where if you trying to play in the front line like a tank, yeah, definitely you're gonna be highly focused into, well, the enemy team, they just run you over. You may get a lot of dash, even though the dash is not the best indicator to tell if you're doing well or not, because there are good dash and bad dash in the game as well. You can die sometimes, well, a lot of times actually, and gain a lot of value out of it, and that is something we can talk about too. But yeah. Yeah, anything else you wanted to add?
I think um I mean, yes, I do. And then it was more necessarily towards like the tank role because I played a couple games yesterday, or not a couple games. I played a lot of games yesterday. And and I noticed as I was playing tank, it felt like almost like if I was like how can I explain this? It felt like I was like naked like while I was playing the game. Like it
I
almost felt
understand.
like
Yeah, there are a lot of
like
pressure on you.
yeah, yeah, like there was like really no cover for me. Like there was, because now I'm used to like playing this like damage role, and I'm playing like on a corner, I'm playing behind a wall. I'm playing like in a little corridor, or I'm playing in a little alleyway in the game or whatever. And I'm trying to find a different angle, and then I'm playing tank, and I'm, you know, everybody's like, "Hey, you know, like we need a tank presence or whatever, or just go shield," you know. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to just like play Reinhardt and hold the shield the whole game. Like that's not
Yeah,
fun for me.
that's not how you
Like
do it again as well, actually, but yeah.
yeah. So but this is the dilemma in my rank, you know. Like and sometimes I try to like explain it to them. Obviously I'm no higher rank than they are, I'm in the same rank, and I tell them,
Hmm.
if I just stand here with a shield and like nothing is dying and there's no progression, then I'm just standing there waiting for what, you know? And most of the time they'll be like, "Oh, that's true." So then they're okay with Diva, they're okay with Zarya, but I have to also like let them
Hmm.
know, you know?
Hmm. The thing is, a lot of people misunderstand is that they use the shield for their team most of the time, but in reality, the shield is there to enable your own aggression first, and this is what you you want to always accomplish on any sort of tank. It doesn't matter if you have the shield. First of all, it's for you. You need to be selfish. Just go in, be more proactive again, and then you shield yourself. And because you're actually going in, then you start absorbing impression, then it's where shield is useful. So it's even in Overwatch 1, it's again similar idea, but in Overwatch 2, it's even more important to be proactive and such. So yeah, well, we can talk about that, but my question to you is, since you mentioned that you do enjoy playing DPS more, shouldn't we look at one of your DPS games then? Or
Yeah, so I did send you a DPS game because I
perfect.
figured we'd probably get more value out of the DPS video, because that's what I'm playing more. And then just to kind of like touch back on the tank thing, the one thing that I did have a big thing on was sometimes when I'm playing tank and I'm trying to initiate aggression, right? And
Yeah.
you know, I think the problem is expectancy of other teammates to like contribute. Like, hey, I'm going in. Can
Mm,
you like heal me or whatever? Almost like an unspoken rule thing, right? But it's not an unspoken rule because not everybody's on the same page that you are, and
exactly.
it sometimes almost feels like I'm just on a suicide mission where I'm running where I'm running in by myself and
Right.
it's not working, you know. And then I'm like, dude, like, what should I do, you know? And then I'll go play Orisa because Orisa's a little buffed, and then somebody swaps to Zarya.
Mm,
Now I gotta swap back, and it's and it's almost like it feels like it's just like a big suicide mission every time, and then everybody just tilts and it falls apart. So what I've been doing lately is kind of just like gathering like I've been taking more on a leadership role, like, hey, can you guys help me with this, hey, what do you need help with? And you know, if somebody gets upset, I try to vocalize like, or hey, just give me a holler or just ping, even if you're not using a microphone, just ping if somebody's next to you,
uh-huh.
and we'll head on over there. And I've had a little more success now, doing that, like in the sense of like winning games, and then I won't use my mic for a while, and then it goes back to like a 50-50.
I
You know,
see.
but I can't use the microphone all the time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what I want to say. Communication definitely makes sense and it's good. However, if you ever notice that a lot that it hinders your performance, you're not performing as well when you're communicating, then usually consider not communicate at all because most of the value, maybe around 90% of your value comes out of your performance and only the other percentages, maybe 5% or just 1%, I would even say. If we at Plat 1 rank now, then yeah, you don't have a lot of value out of communication compared to your own performance. So if you ever notice that communication, it influences your performance in a bad way, then don't communicate at all. I would say just try to focus on performance, and this is what matters the most. And yes, another thing you mentioned, you will need to synchronize the pressure with the rest of your team, but how you do that is through looking at the visuals and sounds. First of all, you have to keep in mind that, I think, first of all, keeping an eye on what are they actually doing, and this is the most consistent thing you will be able to do as a tank, just making sure you synchronize based on what you see. Not based on what you say, communicate, because sometimes those things might not happen, but you just reacting to triggers, yeah, looking at the triggers, whatever is there for you, so you understand, should you go in, should you give up space, yeah, there are a lot of concepts we can go over, which might be useful when tanking, or just, well, if it's DPS, then we're gonna go over something else, but yeah, this is looking at information is important
Okay.
on any role. Yeah, gathering
Okay.
information. First of all, okay, yeah, does it make sense?
Yeah, makes great sense actually.
Oh, perfect. Okay, I think everything else what you mentioned the form, it makes total sense. Your playtime and overall experience is good. Playing PC, solo queue is the best. Yeah, solo queue is the best. If you wanna improve as a player, that's for sure. 10 to 20 hours playtime is good. Okay, I think with all that information, we can just start with the review. We can take a look at one of your games, just set up some of the goals for you, what you can work on, and it should be good. Yeah, do you have anything else to add maybe before we start going over your replay?
No, I think some of the scenarios in that video, that bot I sent you are pretty like kind of like what I have questions on, if that makes sense.
Of course. Yeah, yeah. We can take a look. Okay, can you see my stream just fine? Is it working for you?
Yeah, yeah, it's working.
Perfect. Okay, and here we got. Hey, we got Nepal, and what is your name in there?
It's on team two. It's Spawn,
Spawn.
SPAWN.
Perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
let's take a look. Cassidy. Let's go back. I think when the fight is about to start, it's here. Okay, so anything specific you think you struggled with in here as Cassidy?
So I like to pick Cassidy on this point specifically, almost just to kind of like stay on the point and kind of just do poke damage while I'm on the point if
Okay.
we get to the point.
Okay. Okay. Playing around the objective, mainly poking enemies. Okay, is there anything else you're looking for?
Uh, as far as like elims and stuff like that, just most likely like looking forward like to eliminating their DPS and their healers, more so the healer than the DPS
Okay.
is what I yeah,
Yeah.
which is kind of what I have in mind. And then usually the lane that I take is pretty much like the same one. I'll go down middle and try to beat down middle.
So why did you choose this middle position? Why not any other position?
I picked this middle position because I don't really have cover from the ball, and the ball's not really overcommitted to distracting their backline
Okay.
or their DPS. So I kind of was like, let me just stay in the middle. Maybe I can use like this big old pillar in the middle to give me some cover while
Okay.
I figure out what this ball's gonna do.
Okay. 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 So I think this is mostly tank approach, kind of tank thingy we can see there. And what the problem is in here, we can see right away, is most of the people, most of your core typically, and most of the time, especially the tanks, if they're non-mobile, here it's kind of interesting why your ball is here as well. They've been sitting on this main door as well. But anyway, most of the people, they tend to go main lane. Yeah, they tend to try to just take space there. But the problem is, because a lot of attention goes towards that lane, it's quite hard for you to survive a lot of times because there's a lot of spam damage going on. There's a high chance to receive something like sleep dart, to nade, stuff like that. So what I would suggest, if you play Cassidy, because you have a lot of burst opportunity, you can just sweep up, you can do a lot of damage towards the squishies. You want to take advantage of something what's called off angle, and you probably heard about that. But yeah, are you familiar with what that means exactly, off angle term?
So I'll try to explain it the way I
Of course.
understand it.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we were to off angle here, I would go here left to the elephant and kind of just shoot from the elephant on that direction where they're coming in from that main entrance.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. And this is what we're looking for most of the time as a Cassidy, because you have a lot of burst potential. You want to try to set up on off angles, and those gonna be softer angles. You're not gonna be really far away from the rest of your core, but it's gonna be different sightline. So let's say if my main core is here, the position on off angle, it's gonna be somewhere away from the main core, such as this one, position B. You can just try to take the elephant, like I said, and this is a good position. But you could also have an off angle on C, maybe leaning towards the right side. Ultimately, it doesn't matter where you are, but because you're an off angle, what you do is you create a sort of crossfire. You split the enemy resources. So for instance, some of the enemy resources can go towards A, some of the enemy resources can go towards B. And because you are taking an off angle, you split enemy attention, you split enemy resources. Okay, so this off angle idea as a Cassidy, it's really important to maybe emphasize this. Yeah, how good off angle can look like as a Cassidy. I can just use any good Cassidy gameplay. I think this is one of the Korean players. I actually forgot the name there, but this is a similar example, just different map. Usually, a lot of people tend to do what? If they go main lane, that would be somewhere over here. Would be your first kind of pass towards the objective. And that's what you've been taking too. Basically on Nepal, you went from here towards here. Yeah, this is your main lane,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And this is similar stuff a lot of players do. But because as a cast, you want to take soft angles, a lot of times it's good decision, might be good decision. Well, first, it's good to fight for this high ground, but you also taking an angle on the area where the enemies might be, so you can create a crossfire. And we can see, for example, there, even this approach, if my team is down there, or maybe my team goes right side, if you on this top high ground, you also create an off angle. This also gives you another angle of attack. For example, you're just able to instantly try to do some sort of pressure there. Or maybe another example can be just so I'm not using the same high ground example. Maybe your team goes, so this is again different map, your team typically goes here. A lot of times people go there, and this is okay. A lot of times you just want to again try to hold the objective, but for you as a Cassidy, it might be a good decision. And well, his team anyway, most of them they go left side, but you can see how later they will actually transition towards the right. He kind of holds with them at the moment, but he wants to be careful with trying to sit behind them all the time. And later, when the rest of his team goes on this main pass, I think the Dermata is gonna stay. He can try to hug this left angle and try to push something as well. The Dermata is actually went right side there later, and this is what you're looking to do most of the time. Of course, there are a lot of other ideas. Yeah, again, all of this situational, depending on the comp, depending on the map, but I would just emphasize making sure you take soft angles a little bit more. Yeah, even in this situation when we are inside the room with something, yeah, we always try to lean towards some sort of soft angle. So you can see it even there. His team goes A, kind of approach it from here. This is soft angle, kind of seeing what's going on at B. Yeah, we just kind of go on the side slightly more. We're trying to stay there, and this is what you can do here as well. Okay. So does it make
Okay.
sense with soft off angles or
Yeah,
any
yeah,
questions?
yeah, 100%.
Okay,
No, yeah,
perfect,
yeah, that was perfect breakdown.
perfect, perfect. And the thing is, how do you do it every fight? Yeah, and let's watch. Where can we be? What kind of position it could be taken if we implement the same soft off angle approach? Okay, so you start over here and the ball goes in, and we are on this left side. Yeah, what do you think? What do you think about your position here? Is it good enough? Could it be anywhere else? Or, yeah, what's your thoughts?
I feel like I could take a little more space here.
Maybe, yeah.
Now looking at it, like I feel like I could go up the stairs a little bit more and kind of like help the tank put some pressure on this Reinhardt or even on the point itself where the Torbjorn is at.
With where you are we taking this soft off angle in a way, or what's your
No,
thoughts?
not at all. No, because now this is not an off angle if my whole team is there, right? I would have to maybe position myself a little differently, maybe more to the left
Yes,
or
exactly. Yes, you're right, totally. Or what would be the other choice?
if there was nobody on point, then it would be more back on this right side. Well, you can't see my mouth,
Yeah,
but more
yeah,
on
yeah.
the right side.
Right
Yeah,
there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. On
Yeah,
the
so
stairs.
yeah, like yeah, looking at the Ana and the healer and
Exactly.
doing some damage from there.
Exactly. Yeah, so we just don't want to stack too much, but lean to either towards the left or right, depending on how teammates go. I think right side could also work since you have Kiriko. She can easily DP in and just help you out with the deeper angles. But even if you're there, yeah, just slightly to the left, yeah, just slightly trying to create another angle of attack. So all the damage, it's not going from one place and it's getting shielded, but rather trying to just push the Rhine back because you created that sort of crossfire. You actually lean towards the left, but it kind of dropped. You could have stayed there. And there, yeah, there's Rhine shield in front of us, so it becomes complicated. You have to give up space. Yeah, that's fine. Getting live grip, walling back. Yeah, okay. That is where you just want to play patiently, but when when you're trying to wait out, I think a lot of times, and you will notice that if you put attention towards taking an angle, a lot of times you also will be able
Battery
to
critical.
deal with enemy taking angles as well. So you see that May, for example, she went on the right side while the main pressure, most of the enemy team, they apply pressure from here. And if we put some attention towards an angle, you're also able to push those threads back. Okay, you will be able to push, and this is kind of another layer with taking soft angles. You also deal with enemy taking angles. You will try to push them back, and I'm just gonna explain this. So here, this example might be a good one. If I'm taking soft angle, this is a little bit uncomfortable. We all stuck together, but it's fine. Later, this guy, he puts attention towards anybody who takes an angle, and the enemy team, they have a tracer. So he just searches for the tracer. Okay, where they are. Let me see. So I think there's gonna be a point where they're actually gonna just wait. I think wait for them to pressure. They're gonna pressure her eventually. Okay, so he's scouting, going on the left side, little poke damage, going back. Yeah, so right there, his team pushing this, let's say, point A, kind of being stuck on the doorway, but meanwhile he's dealing with angle and also seeing if there's opportunity to go right side. If there's no such opportunity, sometimes map layout is not allowing you to take soft angles, to take angle at all, but a lot of this is what you want to aim to do anyway. On the way, you're also trying to deal with enemy taking angles. A dealer, you're really good at that. You're able to easily shut down anybody who gets close, and your nade allows you to do that. Your nade, your flash, yeah, you can easily just deny the enemy angles. Okay, does it make sense, this idea as
Yeah,
well? Yeah,
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 yeah.
exactly. I kind of did not a point, which is important. Maybe you could avoid dash because of it, because you're just trying to keep an eye on who is taking angles, yeah, who is exactly doing so. Okay, do we look at the widow, or do you wanna, yeah, do you wanna look at the cast if you
I
play cast later?
I end up going Ash on the second point, and the reason we went Widow was I couldn't like get a shot off with Cassidy. It almost felt like I was just a little too far, and I couldn't close the space on that last map.
I see.
And so I was like, maybe I can get some damage off with Widow, and then uh, nothing ended up happening. We lose the point, and then I go Ash on this point because I was like, well, let me just like do a little more damage further back if this guy's just gonna play ball
I see.
um the whole time. At least this way I can stay back with the healers.
I see. I see. Okay. Okay. So, well, let's just put it this way. I think most of it on the first point definitely could change. I think the performance-wise, if we just tweak it up, if it's gonna be better, I think it could solve potentially that problem. I would suggest with swaps. Okay, with swaps being careful when saying maybe stuff like how to protect might seem, or maybe if it's hard for you to gain value in the character, try to identify what else you could do, what could be the better play. Yeah, what is there missing, what is that fundamental flow which is not allowing you to do something. I think this is really important, making sure that you stay proactive on the character, but swapping it always, you have to make sure there's a reason based on the big picture. That's how I would phrase it. Usually,
Okay.
the reason to swap it should be because you have a certain comp, you are on a certain map as well. Maybe this here, this is a good Ash point, and this is a good comp to play Ash around. Because this way you play around the strengths. This way you're gonna be able to get more value, I think, rather than trying to see, oh, well, like a lot of people say, they get encountered and then they swap, or something happens, they swap, but there's no clear direction a lot of times with those swaps if they get encountered on how to win. Yeah, what do we play around? What are our strengths? Yeah, what is the reason? So the mindset always has to be, rather than this guy's forced me to swap, so I'll play different character. Play the character, understand the strengths, and be proactive with the stuff and make them swap. Actually, I think this can be a good
Yeah.
approach. Yeah, but to do
Yeah.
that, the performance is gonna be really important to solve, I think, at this time especially. But yeah, uh, okay. So do we want to focus on Ash here? Do you want to look at the
Yeah.
Ash? Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we
Yeah.
can do that.
Um.
As yeah. Any question?
No. So so like when I swapped over to Ash was kind of like the same mentality with the Widow. On the last point, I figured, okay, if they're gonna play this like Torbjorn May composition, sometimes it's a little easier to hit those headshots on those characters for
Mm-hmm.
whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
I um I don't know. It just feels that way
Mm.
to me. It may
This makes
be, it may be
sense.
not.
No, this
So
makes total sense, I think. Yeah, okay.
so I was like, maybe I could get a couple headshots or a couple body shots because it seems like their bodies are a little wider.
Okay.
even though they're like shorter characters, they're a little wider. So I was like,
Yeah.
maybe I could hit a little more shots and do a little more damage, or at least I can contribute some type of like being annoying with the dynamite. Like if they're on fire, they're gonna be like, hey, heal me, heal me, heal me. So everybody plays and they're like spamming the X button that they need healing.
Of
So
course.
I figured to keep somebody busy on that other end.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think this makes total sense when we're paying attention to the enemy, their weaknesses. You can also abuse that. Yeah, you can also play a comfortable character to do that. But if we just also pay attention to what I mentioned before, paying attention to your composition and the map, is that a good map and comp to play Ash? What do you think? So if we switch our thought process, yeah, also thinking about the strengths as well. Is it good to play Ash in here, and why? Yeah, why is it the case?
So I like Ash on this point, just because there's that big gap on
Yeah,
this left side,
exactly.
and
Yeah,
it,
there's
it makes it a easier to like throw Bob on point if there
okay.
needs to be a stall, and then it gives you that space where they can't really cover that gap if they're fighting on the objective, and it gives you that big gap in there where if
Yeah,
they gotta go to you, they have to take like a long route to you. In a narrow route where you have like a straight line of sight on that bridge, that left side of that, or walkway, bridge, whatever. And it's easier to see them coming because the window is there, so you can see if they're gonna go out on your left side or on
yeah,
your right side, and the path is very narrow, so it makes it a little easier to hit the shots from here,
yeah,
from that side.
yeah.
I,
Makes
I
sense.
I also like soldier on that side as well.
Yeah, makes total sense. Yep, the map is definitely in your favor. What about your comp?
For my composition, I'm not a big fan of the Junkrat on this map. The guy switched over to Reinhardt. I think at that point it was because everybody was kind of like, hey, we need some type of cover. We're just kind of getting blown away. They have a lot of spam damage, and so he went Ryan, and it ends up working out a little bit in this map.
Okay.
But we also have like a lot of like poke damage and burst damage with the with the Junkrat and the Baptiste, and then we have the Life Weaver, which like helps like to pull you out of those like crazy situations,
So to
especially.
to simplify, is a good or bad play Ash with this comp? What do you think?
With that comp, I like it. I think it's good.
I think it's alright. Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
It's yeah, it's doable. You, what you are looking for as Ash most of the time is making sure there's some sort of poke potential. So there's gonna be a follow up on your shots because you shooting from far, and there are some from your Baptiste, from your Junkrat, not as much from the rest of the core, but still, this is okay comp to play around. Not the best, but okay, Cassidy could also work there because you're more short range oriented too. But the map also allows you to play Ash too. So I think Ash or Cassidy are relatively the same. Cass would be slightly better in my opinion because
Okay.
why? It's because usually composition it outweighs the map. That's how I'd phrase it. The comp usually matters more compared to the map, but it's okay. The Ash is also doable. It's alright. It's not
Okay.
it's not like again
Okay.
picking a certain character it's gonna solve most of the problems. First of all, it's the performance. First of all, it's seeing what we do there. Okay.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Whatever you say, I'm all ears.
It's fine. Yeah. So let's just pay attention to those details you mentioned so far. It's angles, making sure you take those, and dealing with enemy taking angles as well. Okay. So from what it looks like, what do you think?
So I think my team is on this right side, uh, picking a
Yeah.
fight, and now the Ryan is going to that, and then all I have to deal with is this May.
Okay. Okay. What kind of resources you need to be able to deal with this angle? Because it seems you on this, we can call it off angle while your team is at B position, but there's May pushing towards you. What kind of resources could be helpful?
Um, like health wise or like in general.
Yeah, just for you as an Ash, what could allow you to win the space easier?
I think if I were to go up a little bit more, but my thinking was like, hey, the May is gonna be here, and I was just kind of a little more cautious of them walling me off, and then just kind of like spraying me down with the cryo freeze
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just slid back a little bit. So if I needed to use my shotgun, I forget the name of it,
The shift. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, the shift to boost me out, then at least it could boost me out to the meanie right behind me. Because I knew that my team was on the right side. So I wasn't gonna try and be selfish and be like, hey, like stack the heals this way
Yeah.
while you guys are dealing with that.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. However, okay, I think shift is the most important. However, there's another thing which you're missing. It's your dynamite. And yes, usually it's fine to use dynamite on big group of people, like we were aiming to do there. But in this case, you need to consider this first. You need to fight for your position first. Make sure you're easily able to stay there first. And that's where I would be careful with throwing dynamite just like that, especially if you're not sure if your team is about to follow up yet. Yeah, because if we just use the dynamite now, it might not end up in the best way. Yeah, because your team, they
Mm.
still going in, they still setting up. Okay, so you might just have the dynamite to help you out on an angle, and later try to synchronize with the rest of your team if you want. This is one thing. So resources, whatever you have, can help you to win the angle control. But another thing is, it's how you approach it. If you're shooting this May, if you're just trying to push her away, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, pay attention to how you position. Is there anything you can do about your position to make sure you have high chances of winning this duel there?
I think if I take that space more and I can control that mega a little more if I need the health, but I guess having the not guess if I would have had the dynamite, it would have helped after
This
the
one, yeah.
that yeah, after that freeze where she recovers health. I think that would have helped out a lot. Maybe instill some type of panic in the sense of like, oh, I can't heal anymore.
Just look at this May. Why it might be easy for her to hit shots. Look at your hitbox. Look at how you stand. Is there any type of cover
Mm,
you have?
no, not at all.
Not
Just right there in the middle.
Yeah, not as much. Yeah, so this is your
Yeah.
problem. This is what's been before as well. This kind
Okay.
of another point. What you need to address, you just need to keep an eye on having some sort of cover near you. So if you approach the
Okay.
duel, then we could also be walking left, or you could also be walking right. I think walking left is fine, but especially as Ashe or Cassidy, when you play around the cover, yeah, you using cover, you can do something what's called peak shooting. You can try to, what it looks like is this. Okay, if I go in the practice range, if you try to pick the character, instead of staying out in the open away from the cover, you just can try to do this. So I can peek and shoot,
Mhm.
just like that. Yeah, and this way you minimize your hitbox. If I'm staying just like you do, then it's high chance that there's gonna be a big hit on my character.
Mhm.
And as Ashe, it's kind of similar. Again, you can play around the corners just like that if you want, and you don't have to overexpose yourself. We don't have to play out in the open too much. We can have a cover, and it can be vertical, just like this one, or horizontal. What you've been doing is this against the May. So you have all of this, those been stairs, which you didn't use as much as well, and you had a lot of space. So the enemy May, she's able to see your entire body. But if you lean back more, then she's gonna be
Mhm.
only able to see your head, and you can also do it this way, where you peek, shoot, just like that. You remove most of your hitbox to just show you that. Okay, let's go in here again, back to the replay of what was, yeah, I think it's this one.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so basically when we're fighting her, what we could be doing is lean back, just like that.
Mhm.
Also, and also do it this way, where you have this cover on the left. Ideally, you want to reach cover in 0.5 seconds. This is how you can
Okay.
play. Yeah, so you just peek, shoot, peek, shoot. You removing all that space between cover you're using and the enemy may. This way you're gonna be safe. Yeah, just
Okay.
is another sort of idea. But yeah, resource is also helpful. Angle-wise, it's looking good too in general. It's just the way you approach it, you could do it slightly better. Yeah. Yeah, so see there again, you take a duel with the map, just with the mage, just lean back and maybe use this right cover or left cover again, so you know there's overexposed. Peek shoot constantly. Dynamite is a big culprit too. This is good dynamite, I think. You can try to just deny their space, make sure, yeah, you kill them. This is fine. Okay, later can try to take space if your team pushes up, it's fine. But mostly you're gonna be using this left side. Yeah, keep shooting on the enemy. And so seeing there is how we position, how far away we are
Mm-hmm.
from any sort of cover. Yeah, where could you be right
Mm-hmm.
now?
I could be more behind this wall behind me, the one
Yeah,
where the
even
mini is
this
at.
wall. Yeah, even this wall
Yeah.
could work. So you just again peek shoot around this wall or peek shoot around this wall. I think this one is more reasonable because you choose to shoot this angle. If you choose to shoot this, then move up and hug this wall. I think this
Okay.
is something, again, like we mentioned, you need to deal with enemy taking angles as well. I think might be even be more reasonable. It's fine to also stay
Yeah.
on this angle, just shoot those guys away. Stuff like that, yeah. They're
Yeah.
missing one. Okay, they're missing one member. Have an advantage. That's good. Oh. Okay. And I think this angle eventually could create that crossfire where, because you on the angle, you will force the shrine to turn around. This guy, for him, it's going to be really hard to exist because there are people shooting from here, there are people shooting from there, and if you also go towards the left side more, once you won the angle, of course, you create that crossfire, so he will be able to, yeah, so he will be looking around a lot. Yeah, angle, a good angle on Ashe is really good. And here, see, maybe something what could save you. If you have cover near you, if you just use that, you can even jump. There's a small thing, it's more mechanical, but when shadow appears, you can jump and go towards the cover, and you will be shadowed, but you will be hidden around the
Mm.
cover. Just the
Okay.
momentum carries you over, and that's why just keeping an eye on what kind of cover you're using, even in this moment, it still could save your life. Well, you still survived, but it's that you have a high chance of survivability anyway. Hey, any questions you have so far, maybe, or everything's clear?
No, like I think like you're like pointing out like a lot of stuff that I didn't see at all. Like you know like staying closer to the wall and
Yeah, so see even
I
there.
I I
Yep.
yeah, like I am playing passive, but like if I'm like now like thinking like on the other perspective, like the way you're seeing it, I'm looking at it like this May keeps going for cover even though she's taking the fight with me. Like she's near cover every time. So I think that's what like bails out the May a lot of the times when we're having these one-on-one
Yeah.
interactions.
Yeah, angle-wise, it really feels like it's okay-ish. Of course, sometimes you can maybe even push up the stairs and left even more, put extra pressure towards the guys taking that stairs, but yeah, the angle-wise feels okay. With Ashe, the only difference is that because you have Coach Gun, you can take more verticality, but you still, yeah, you still will have to aim to take an angle at some point. Okay, it feels uncomfortable to break through, so you can try to choose different side. Yeah, it's fine. The dynamite's good. Got the Farah. Okay, good attention on tracers. I see dealing with enemy taking angles. I think it's fine as well if you're able to put extra pressure on them. If you have your comfortable range, then it's alright. Yeah, okay. Kind of get stuck in there, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. Okay, eventually we push up, take space in here. Okay. That's okay. Well, this...
that happens like 3 more times. And I get like randomly pinned, and like now that you explained it, it's because I'm just
Yeah,
kind of like standing there, looking,
yeah. Well,
looking for like something to shoot, you know.
yeah, it just feels like you just need to rotate in a different way. Yeah, you just need to make sure you keep rotating towards the right or even towards this middle section. You just don't need to go towards there. The thing is, because you already have an angle, yes, you have to give up the space, but it's not like you cannot stay on the angle. You still can move. If your team moves back here, you can move towards back, but on your angle. It's either this one, I'm moving back this way, or this one, I'm moving back this way. It's okay. This is slightly
Mm,
uncomfortable because this is short range space, but still you have to do that, and you don't have to make those awkward rotations where you go towards the main angle for no reason, where most
mm,
of your core is. You still can hold your angles. Okay, we're talking about those soft angles, so sort of with Ashe, it's kind of similar, I think, but yeah. Okay, can maybe fight for the high ground. You see, using dynamite, you actually change the angles. This is what you notice a lot of times, yeah? You have to fight for the angle first before using that. So once you've dealt with angle, just a little bit mechanical there. Unfortunately, we died because of the
yeah.
missing shots, but it's fine. Take your time, I think. And even when you do this, you still can have some sort of ledge to break line of sight for the enemy. Again, vertical or horizontal. And here, because we're out in the open, you don't have that opportunity. It's okay to shoot, but where could you stay to just be able to break line of sight with this Anna currently? Where could it be?
I for from where I moved from this side, from the right side to here, the center. I think if I would have broken, like, if I would have just shot the dynamite here where she was at originally, and I would have stayed here by this little hut, I think I would have had a higher chance of killing her because I could have just
Yeah.
peeked in and out from here on this right side,
Yeah.
or head glitch on this staircase
Yeah,
instead of
you
being like
can
out in
also
the
use
middle.
that. Yeah. You can use that, or you can also have, if you're really choosing for, like, because let's say they hide there, I think you'll have to pick them. You'll have to pick them, go wider. But think about it this way: of just having some sort of ledge over there, just in case if there's a lot of pressure, you can always drop and make sure that you do it in 0.5 seconds. You're able to just get behind the cover. You're able to survive this way. This is another thing. Yeah, you can of course maintain, ideally if it's possible, staying somewhere over here or like you said, on the stairs if you're putting the pressure towards this angle, but you have to give yourself opportunity to break line of sight with the enemy by using horizontal or vertical structures. Okay,
Okay.
does it make sense?
Okay. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so we have some time left. I would just maybe, because there have been a few points, I would just first of all summarize what we talked about today, what you can work on based on our review.
So I what to work on from my takeaway would
Yep.
be finding cover a little sooner or being closer to cover as opposed to
Mhm.
looking for cover when I engage in these fights. And then wait, what was like kind of huge for me that you mentioned was sometimes changing the composition or your character isn't always like the best decision because of, hey, we need this or we need that. That sometimes it depends on the impact that you have with the character as opposed as to what the character can do, right? Because what the character can do with its abilities doesn't necessarily translate to my abilities to maximize the utility of that character. So I would say one, the cover, and then understanding that I have to be like within like a cover where I can like fall back into cover within 0.5 seconds.
Yeah, I'm
um
trying to have this opportunity to just remove the line of sight of the enemy. Yeah, you're right. Okay, continue.
and then another one would be finding these, if I need to get out, then I can be able to get out like how you mentioned, which was kind of huge for me, which I didn't really think about. Was I could have left this angle where I was here on this by the staircase. I
Oh
could have
yeah.
just taken the stairs out to the back instead of going down this ramp to the middle and getting pinned, and that would have been a little more beneficial. So having exit routes and entry routes is another thing I got to work on. So
Okay.
cover, falling into cover within like like a window of time, and then having an exit route if things kind of get a little too hectic for me, in the sense of like, hey, I need to bail. I need to make sure I can come back and join the team fight if the tank is on the way back or the DPS is on the way back to, and make these fights a little more engaging and a little faster, as opposed to kind of chopping down like 10 seconds or 9 seconds, whatever the respawn time is,
Oh yeah.
every time. And um and then I think having a little more impact on my off angles. If my team is already on one side, I can go ahead and off angle and start diverting resources towards my way and their tank wherever those fights are taking place. And if it happens so that I end up getting a pick or not, at least I know I'm doing something in the sense of diverting attention from where the main fight is taking place.
Exactly, exactly. And by the way, this idea when you rotate, I think it falls into the soft angle category still. Yeah, to simplify, we just need to maintain those off angles. It's softer angles in your case with the Cassidy and Ashe. With Ashe, the only difference is that you can use verticality more, you can use high guns more because of the coach gun. You can take those more, but overall, just take the angle and move on the angle as well. Maintain those more. And I think the last point is, yeah, you gotta be ready with dealing with enemy taking angles. Just
Yes.
consider, yeah, exactly. Consider who's taking an angle and deal with those characters. Okay, that's how I'm
Okay.
gonna write it down. Yeah, consider and then yeah, you're gonna be dealing with those. Okay, yeah, cover, maintaining angles, so move on the angle, and yeah, I think those been our main points so far. Yeah, it should be good.